Yeah, the coffee shop I wanted to use internet was closed today, and so I came to this community to introduce myself to a school that's called the Whole School, and the principal didn't. It's a small little kindergarten daycare, I would say. The principal didn't get my email. She said somebody else did. But the way she's wanting me to talk is it's almost like to listen to find reasons to say no to things. Yeah, it's weird that people block things for themselves. The possibility of growth or collaborations or expanding their minds. It's weird. It's not a phenomenon that people that survive one day at a time are comfortable with. And I came to this Mamacita's Cafe here and got internet for 5 minutes until hashtag or # tell us realized that, I didn't put in a code because, I have no phone number to send that code to. So I just did other kind of work. But the redneckism is really high. Like, it's very hard to get somebody to pay attention to a conversation. It's almost like they can put a little bit more attention on something if it's, taking an order. Not necessarily taking it right or getting it right, but the effort of attention span is noticeable with business-related behaviors. But, like just asking about how the internet certainty is to be connected, and nobody makes the effort to understand things like this in their own businesses, for example, or that they just don't want to pay attention to a conversation like that long, even when it's not busy. So, yeah, and this kind of redneckism is not just in, coffee shop restaurants that serve alcohol. It's in the school that I just defined, it's in, RCMP, it's in everywhere that barely pays attention and that is very susceptible to HSD and intellectual laziness. So tomorrow I'm going to the RCMP, and to save them trouble, I paid the $25 that I requested for the criminal record check. Although I could have tried saying, hey, I have a not-for-profit society, I'm the operator, and I don't want to have to pay this $25. I'm freaking poor. But then, supposedly, with this letter by random name or random date of birth, or it happens once in a while, they want the fingerprints, which I'm okay with, but they're going to charge me another $25. A poor person that largely volunteers. And then there's a third letter, which they won't photocopy for me, so I'm going to ask if they can read it. Poor Sergeant Taylor, I asked to see the sergeant, and you can tell when he kind of comes back, he's shaking in his boots almost, like he's uncomfortable around me. I don't think it's because he's busy and he wants to go. I think it's because he's afraid to give a wrong answer with me. I'm confident and I know how to ask questions. And I know how to advocate for myself to not be victimized out of an additional $25. So I've got a few strategies on how I'm going to act there tomorrow. One of them, of course, is to ask if I can record it, because I feel like I might need this as evidence if I end up making a decision that to get this criminal record check. For me, it's like no employer's asking it right now. It's just for me. It's just for me to put on my LinkedIn profile so people can stop making assumptions that because I'm different than them, such as higher confidence and skill sets that they know are there, that they won't think that I'm bad and they're good because I'm different than them. Although it's qualities that I have that make me different than them. Qualities that they should have in the jobs they already have. So, yeah, that's why I want it. But the letter also says it might take 1 or 2 months to get this done because it's sent to Ottawa. What the hell? So what if a school wanted to put me on a sub list and it took that long? Then the RCMP flagging me without providing the answer on that third page They only photocopied page 1 and 2. They said, or the other is internal stuff. Yeah, well, I know it exists. I saw it. And if you give me a photocopy of something else and it's not what I saw, I'll know. That's not okay, right? This is another example of the government keeping me poor, thinking I'm the bad guy when it's the other way around. So now, of course, it could be that I'm flagged not at random. Yeah, but it could be random. It could be because, yeah, I've put pressure on judges and courthouses in multiple provinces. I've written to MPs, MLAs, not in a threatful way, just in a, hey, justify your own career and existence and job and salary that you deserve. You know, and I know the difference between right and wrong, but it's mostly living a transparent life. It's very threatening to people that I do this, and when they interact with me in a paid job, they feel like, oh my God, it's so stressful. What if Martin comes today to our office where we get paid to provide services and he expects us to do a good job and not freak out? You know, that's who you are. That's quite sad. A couple of years ago, I predicted that the time was coming within 2 years where I would no longer be able to pass criminal record checks. And I didn't want this to happen. And the reason it's been more than 2 years and it hasn't happened yet is I've developed strategies and thinking tools to compensate to not have this phenomenon develop in my life. I do not believe I would fail this criminal record check, but I do believe that even if it's at random, I'm a victim of how long it would take and being charged for it as a poor person that I can prove without support from Work BC, who's been always very vague about whether they would pay something like this or not. So to be reimbursed is $50. I might just say, screw it. Don't do the vulnerable sector check because I feel robbed. And if I pay this, and I might agree, if you speed up the process, it doesn't take a month or two. But then right away, I'm not even leaving until I file a report that I was just robbed by the RCMP. So are you going to do that? Now the other thing is, I might say, just give me the non-vulnerable sector search, which means the fingerprints shouldn't be required, and what does your form look like? Because they always look different, and I want it to be well understood by whatever industry or province or nation that I might apply for jobs with that need to know I'm not escaping as a criminal. I'm escaping a nation of criminals, including law enforcement. There's a big difference, people. And then I might even say, reimburse me the frickin' $25, City of Castlegar, because of my not-for-profit society, and I'm deciding to use that now. That this is for me, this is me. And if you want to say that I can't sponsor my own criminal record check as my own organization, like the RCMP and Nanaimo once told me and charged me $25, they never provided me the policies that said that. They said there's new policies, whatever. Yeah, show me the documentation instead of you guys making decisions that you think is more likely, making me go out the door so you can go back to whatever you think was more important that you were doing. And there's a few other strategies I'm not going to say, although I am going to post this after the RCMP visit tomorrow, about what I'm going to do when I'm there. And it's nothing threatening, except that most people find a critical thinker threatening and a confident self-advocate threatening. And we'll see what happens. But I'm telling you, I'm going to start being very nice. But I'm going to say, hey, I kind of feel like I should launch a complaint against my RCMP interactions here. And which, law enforcement do you recommend? Not the Nelson police, I hope, because I don't think they're necessarily cleaner than you guys are.